But I believe part of the reason why it takes so long to get a black belt is the coach is the limiting factor.
Oh, tell me more.
Okay. So, for example, and I shout out respectfully. I'm saying that like in a John Jones. Respectfully. Ugh. No, Peter Devine. I started at Peter Devine's. Pete is 6'2" in height and a long-legged human.
Right.
Shorter torso, long legs. He trained under Carlos Gracie Jr., under the kind of GB lineage, and Hodger Gracie, close guard was all the big thing, maybe a little bit of half guard. I have really short legs, so that was my first gym, and they just played close guard. So, I mean, my adductors were already pretty strong. They got stronger because it was really hard for me to just lock my legs around another man, and especially when those humans get big. And then as soon as I tried to bring up like X guard or butterfly guard, or like this other stuff I'd heard of, people are like, oh, don't say it to Pete. You'll never get your blue belt. We don't do that here. It's like, that's like dark arts. And I was like, what the f***? Marcelo Garcia, this guy I've heard of, is apparently the best in the world, and apparently he does X guard. I want to learn the X guard. And here's the thing that no one had ever said to me, oh, you've got shorter legs. Maybe you'd be better at X.
Yeah.
Or you'd be better at butterfly guard or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, no, you do your close guard. And that was coming from the coach.
Yep.
Same thing as it might be leg locks or whatever. Maybe you don't practice it at your gym, or maybe your coach is an ex-judo player. So you do a ton of takedowns and all that, and maybe your guard's not as good because of your coach's experience.
Yeah.
Right? So I was pretty much a guard player for the first 7 years of my life because my two coaches at that time, which was Peter Devine and Dan Cherubin, shout out, they're predominantly guard players. And then there was a point at which Dan was like, nah, we need to get a judo coach in and learn takedowns. And yeah, it was, and I made a transition at that point from around purple belt to do more top game stuff.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to say, is that we trust our coaches, and that's cool, but the limited scope of our coach often influences the limited scope of our jiu-jitsu.